A Victor Wembanyama 2023 rookie card just sold for over $5 million. Today, we spoke to NBA reporter Jorge Sedano on the lore of Victor Wembanyama and that we are now entering the Wemby era. The 11th highest sports card sale of all time features a guy that you've been covering closely this NBA playoffs. Victor Wembanyama's 2023 rookie card sold for $5.1 million. It is the most expensive, that face. It is the most expensive known sale of a non-autographed NBA card. Now, George, your face says it all. You have been covering what will arguably be the greatest of all time, one of the greats we are witnessing now. But what have you seen that maybe our eyes don't have the ability to witness when it comes to Wemby that backs up perhaps the $5 million card purchase?
I just think he embraces being everything you described. And it's just very rare that you have a 22-year-old that embraces that and that really understands it, right? Understands the weight of it and doesn't flinch when it comes to that. I mean, LeBron probably is the only other person that comes to mind in that regard. And I would say that, Victor, probably because of the time that we live in, is even under more scrutiny than LeBron was at that age. But I always tell people this, and I literally just had this conversation with a Spurs fan that I ran into in the lobby of my hotel. And it was, if you are within a 100-mile radius of an NBA arena and Victor Wembanyama is going to be playing, you need to drive to that arena and find a way to get in the building because you are going to watch something you've never seen before.
It's like the guy goes to therapy. Like, we don't go to therapy this young.
I probably should have, to be honest with you.
We should have.
At 22 years old. That would have changed a lot of things in my life for sure. But maybe it's less poor decisions. I would say that Victor is more introspective at 22 than any athlete I've ever been around at that age that I've ever covered. And I've covered them all: football, baseball, basketball, although basketball has been kind of my main sport for a couple decades now. Every answer is going to have real thought behind it, even if it's just 2 or 3 words. I think that he has real meaning towards everything he says. And then on the floor, which was really what I was referring to earlier in the lobby, was, he's a freak of nature. I mean, he's 7'4", maybe 7'5". Although it's funny, I did the opener this year against Dallas on ESPN, and the media scrum from San Antonio and beyond was there. And they were asking him questions about, hey, did you grow an inch or something? You look taller or whatever. And his reply was, which I thought was kind of funny, which was, there's a lot more interesting things about me than just my height. And he didn't smile, but it's true. There are a lot more interesting things about him. He's just doing things that are a throwback and also at the same time doing things that are unique for an athlete, right? And I think there's so many different levels to him and layers to him that make him fascinating beyond just what he does on the basketball floor. But again, my original conversation in the lobby with the Spurs fan today was like, he's a Spurs fan. He's never seen him in person. And I'm like, dude, go see him because you're going to see someone do stuff physically that you've never seen. He looks totally natural doing these things, which is just wild. And that doesn't even start to really peel back the onion on what he can do when he's closer to the basket and the type of things he can do, even off his own misses. Then defensively, he really messes with guys' minds because he can cover so much ground, trying to deter shot attempts or block shots or whatnot. It really is just insane to watch him play.
Leads perfectly to what Baxter Holmes had wrote for ESPN on why Victor Wembanyama's most dominant skill remains a mystery. And he brings up the interesting argument, how can we measure fear?
Right.
What have you seen when it comes to covering Wemby on how teams manage their offense? Are you witnessing a different game than normal? What are you seeing?
Yeah, I think guys are acutely aware of where he is on the floor. They will either shoot it faster or maybe shorter because they're shooting it faster outside of their normal rhythm. And you'll see guys leave stuff short or shoot it long, right? Because they're trying to anticipate having to shoot it over him. Everything you're watching with him is fairly unprecedented.
I mean, Wemby has basically eliminated the layup, and I'm quoting the Holmes piece again, where he writes, everyone likes pointing out videos where guys drive into the paint and then they dribble it out. And he writes, I think it's even more than that. I think it's whether the drive happens in the first place. What's your reaction to that?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think guys will I think only the real confident guys will take it in there. And look, we saw the Minnesota Timberwolves, Chris Finch, their head coach, said, "Hey, we can't be afraid of him. We got to go at him and we got to attack him."
Yeah,
And you may remember
they
TJ
did.
Shannon when they won their first game in the series said, he can't block them all, right? I got to go in there and be fearless. And it's funny because I asked Mark Daignault that after game one when OKC lost and the Spurs won. I said, shot quality in most cases is pretty cut and dry, right? Like what's a good shot, what's a bad shot, right? I go, is there a bit of a sliding scale in this series because of Wembanyama? And he's like, oh yeah, there is clearly. Like,
Ah,
what is a good shot versus him is not the same as it is against another opponent because of his ability to just get to places as quickly as he does and cover as much ground as he does. I mean, he can cover 6 feet of ground fairly easily in like a step. Again, I just think a lot of that is just you're having to kind of reprocess how you play against this guy because there isn't another way to replicate it. And there's probably not
right.
any other comp to him in any other sport. Like, I guess if I had to think just off the top of my head, maybe like Michael Vick at his peak Michael Vickness when he was just so fast, so strong, and can run by everybody at the quarterback position in a way that we hadn't seen, even though we'd seen plenty of great running quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And the combination of just this arm strength that he could launch the ball with, granted, not the physical specimen, but I'm just talking about athletically, like that might be the only thing that comes to mind. He really is as unique comes. And again, it's not just the size because we've seen guys that tall before in the NBA. It's his mindset, skill set, athleticism,
Yeah.
height, and just the way he thinks the game. It's the combination of all those things that creates the unique talent that he is.
Some of the things that like other greats have said. So like Mike D'Antoni, he's considered one of the greatest offensive minds in the history of the game. He said if you're going to play traditionally and try to get to the rim, you got no chance. And I think you were starting to touch on it, but like what should teams be doing to counteract the fear that he invokes? Or maybe there's no answer right now.
It just depends on your personnel, right? Like if you're Minnesota
Yeah.
and you have these guys that are kind of built strong like Edwards and Shannon and Desumu. These guys are downhill
They
players,
were
right? They are guys that drive with force, regularity. They are coming to the paint no matter what. Even they at times were hesitant, but that was their best strategy. OKC, they prefer Shea kind of controlling whether it's them doubling him with Wemby
mhm.
or really, going away from a double and just playing the gaps. And Wemby's almost like playing like center field, right? Or like free safety back there while also kind of
Yeah.
shading Shea and kind of figuring that out. Like, I think that stuff is different. Like, there's no real formula, is what I would say, because none of it has been very successful to begin with.
We've talked about all the things we see that are alien on the court, but then off the court, Wemby's training with monks. He's playing chess. He went to see the Northern Lights. There is something so unique about him that kind of adds to his lore. Do you think that Wemby's off the court decisions makes him more valuable on the court, or is all of this just a coincidence?
I think clearly his freak of nature size and ability, and that combination initially attracts people. But I think when you start to peel back the onion, as I mentioned earlier, you just see what a real well-rounded person he is, especially for that age. And you really start to get drawn in. Like he's a very engaging character in that sense. And he cares. His give a crap factor is off the charts for that age. Think about it this way. I would say, I've covered the NBA for over 20 years, and I would say most, not all, but a very small percentage of 22-year-olds care like him if any, because most of them at that age are just getting into the league. They're trying to establish themselves. They're trying to get their numbers because they want their big contract. And you tend to notice team success comes later in guys' lives. For the most part, there are exceptions to
Oh,
the rule. Whereas he doesn't have to worry about any of that stuff. Everybody knows he's a phenom. Everybody knows he's special. He's gonna get the max. He could have gotten the max the
right.
next day. You know what I'm saying? But he'll obviously have to wait out his contract year. But I don't think he has any of those worries to him. But his give a crap factor is so high. Like he made guys play hard at the All-Star game. I was there to witness it.
You got credit right off the bat from Ant saying you set the tone, and then social media is blowing up saying Wemby did more to save the All-Star game in 10 minutes than they've tried to do in 10 years. Why was it important for you to set the tone with the competitiveness?
To make it more fun. Being honest with ourselves is good, and when it's a game we love, it's a game I personally cherish. So being competitive is the least I can do.
And he elevated the game in that sense. And that to me was the first real spot where I was like, this guy, he's got like a gravity to him that guys will follow. I think there's a level of respect for him already at this age that, again, is just rare.
It is something that perhaps has been missing in the league. If you're seeing it, he's amongst all these other greats, and it's like, yo, this is my third year. I am going to be here fully. And all of a sudden it's like, oh shoot, the young dude's got to show up. Again, we're talking about all the things as to why this guy is a $5 million card that's not even autographed being sold. And to be quite honest, I saw the news today and I was like, I had the same faces as you. And then I was like, am I really that surprised? He's making all his teammates better. He's brought like life into Coach Pop in ways that I've not seen either since Tim Duncan.
They have a very talented group. There's no doubt about that. And they have a very talented head coach. I think we're seeing two of the best head coaches in the sport in Mitch Johnson and Mark Dagnall in this series that we're covering. These two teams, because of who they have on these rosters, who runs their organizations, who coaches these teams, I feel like we're going to see these two teams in particular, Wembanyama leading the Spurs and Gilgeous-Alexander leading OKC, and we're going to see them face off easily over the next 3 to 5 years for Western Conference supremacy. I just think we're in a really cool time in the NBA to see these two teams battle for a long, long time.
Who is the person on the Spurs that is the most impactful to Wembanyama's success?
I don't think it's just one person or one thing. I think it's just the culture that they've built, right? The Spurs culture built through Greg Popovich and R.C. Buford permeates its way down. It's why you see Tim Duncan around at games and David Robinson still at games and Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker and all these guys, right? And Pop is still around. And, De'Aaron Fox told the story that they get their butts kicked in game 3 and Pop just walks in, not to give an X's and O's speech, but just to say, hey, that performance, that was BS. That's not what we're about here.
There's a difference between being the face of the league and then being a player that the league has to reshape itself around. Mm-hmm. What are the signs that he's becoming the latter, and what still has to happen before you'd say that the NBA is truly in the Wemby era?
Oh, once he wins a championship, it's over, right? I think that's kind of it. We saw it with LeBron. You know what I mean? It was kind of trending in LeBron's favor, but there was always that, he hasn't won a title thing yet. I think it's once you win a championship, that's it. You could make the case, much like LeBron, that it's his league already, that he's the best player. But there will always be people that will stop that argument until that person has a title. And it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when, to me.
What was your first experience like interviewing Wemby? I've seen the photo and many of the photos. You chuckle.
Yeah. So it was actually decent. It was that opener I referenced earlier. It was funny because I had one of our really veteran, awesome cameramen that works for us on ESPN and ABC is a guy named Shane, and he's a monster NBA fan. And I remember standing there, and he's got like a earpiece talk back thing that he could talk to the director, and I could read his lips when he says, "I can't get both of them in the shot." So I start laughing, right? And I think this is on camera. It might have been because they're clearly showing angles of us. and he just tells him, like, take a couple steps back and just do whatever you need to do. And then there's that shot that kind of went floated around the internet of me and him, and I look like his child basically.
Yeah.
And my arm is like super outstretched, right, just to get him to get the microphone to him. Yeah, so it is like that. That was my first experience, was just laughing that the cameraman could not get us both in the shot, when usually you can do a tight shot and you could at least at the bottom of
Mhm.
the see my head,
Yep.
and the other person's head at the top of the screen, but we couldn't frame it because he's that tall. The funny thing would have been like to grab a chair and just stand on it. Like, I think that, I mean, first of all, that would have
That would have
exploded.
been
Yeah,
funny.
I would have become super viral, but I didn't want to put him in a tough spot. I felt like,
That's
I
fair.
honestly, somebody told me I should have done it, and I'm like, nah. After I heard him say the thing about the height, I almost feel like that's got to be a thing that he doesn't want to talk about. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm
He's
super
so
tall. I get it. There's some pros and cons to that. Like, so, and he's probably talked about it plenty in his life. So yeah, but that was the first memory, was that we had to move the camera back so we could both be in the shot.
I sent you a package. I would love for you to open the card that I sent from We the Hobby. Yes. I could have guessed it, but I did confirm with your wife. I wanted to send
Oh
you.
yeah, look at this.
But yeah, that's a 2007 Topps Chrome Refractor. Right around the time he really started to pop off. What kind of registers when you look at that card?
Well, first of all, thank you. Second of all, what it reminds me of in 2007 is that, man, I'm old. So my first day covering the NBA was the day that Dwayne Wade was drafted. So we literally came in
You were drafted together.
as rookies, right, together. And I always say, yeah, I owe my career to him, because obviously I started covering the team. They started to have success. That was awesome and fun and an awesome ride. And then, their success kind of put me on the radar nationally, but I would get invited to like join Skip and Stephen A when they were in Miami to debate them and all that kind of stuff. So I was starting to make a lot of those appearances. And then eventually in 2013, I went to ESPN, and now I've been there 13 years. Yeah, none of that happens without him. Like, he was, like I said, my first day was the day he was drafted. My second press conference was the day he came to the team,
Wow.
after being drafted. Because obviously that first night was with Pat Riley and them when they drafted him. But yeah, and I saw him single-handedly in a lot of ways win the team's first championship, and really I saw him also change the way a city looks at basketball. I don't think people realize the Miami Heat have only been in existence since 1988, which is not that long when you think about it. And he, in 15 years, or a little more than that now, right? Because it was 2006 when they won the title, but he really started to shift the narrative of what people loved there. It was a football town when I was growing up. And
Yeah.
by the
Wow.
time, they were done winning championships with LeBron, I mean, it was a basketball town. When I think of like the Mount Rushmores of Miami, it's, Don Shula and Dan Marino and Pat Riley and Dwayne Wade. And without those four people, sports in Miami doesn't exist. Dwayne's career and his ascension and all the notoriety he got, I think helped someone like me get some notoriety and really elevated my career. He is my favorite player I've ever covered. And again, I feel like I probably owe a lot of my career and whatever success you would deem I would have because of his success and just kind of the gravity that he had.
Do you collect, by the way? Do you collect cards? Do you collect
Well, I don't anymore,
memorabilia?
but I definitely did for a stretch of time. So I actually have, in a storage unit, a autographed Tom Brady Super Bowl jersey and I'm going to tie this all together. The Miami Heat has a thing called Family Fest every year. So like, it's a season ticket holder event, super cool. It's like a taste of the town. And I would go there every year, and they would always have like a silent auction kind of thing. And I remember this was after Brady had won. I'd have to double check. I don't know if that was the jersey from his first Super Bowl, or maybe I think it might have been the Carolina one. So it was the second one.
What?
And I remember bidding on that thing, and I was with a buddy of mine. I'm like, this Tom Brady guy, man, he's already got 2 Super Bowls. Like, I should bid on this. And and it was like, and I won it for like $500, and it's a signed jersey. Now, I lost the authentication of it, but I'm sure I can get that authenticated somehow. Yeah, I mean, it's legit because, you know, the team wasn't going to auction that off if it wasn't real. So it's a hell of an investment for $500, I'd say, regardless. Yes.
Hey, good luck for the rest of the NBA playoffs. I appreciate your time. Thank you, George. You're the best.
Yeah, no, thank you guys, and thank you for the gift. I love it. So thank you, and we'll talk
From
soon.
We the Hobby. Welcome to the hobby again.
I love it. Thank you.